Welcome to Working Class Memory. I'm your co-host, Josue Ariano, here with my co-host,
Austin Cummings.
And today we are launching
Horror Extravaganza this month.
Horror Marathon Reviews, horror film Extravaganza. I almost forgot the name of it.
The Extravaganza.
Dude, Austin has decided to take me on his little creepy, freaky adventures.
Dude, I put him through the ringer with this list.
Dude, yeah, I saw some of these and I had to question our friendship because...
Really? Like that bad?
I was just like, dude, what are you making me watch? I'm going to be honest, the ones you got for the comedies do look really good. I'm excited to check those out.
I think you're going to like those.
The psychological horror, definitely I was just like, all right, bro, we got to put you in this.
I had to toughen you up a little bit, bro.
Somebody's got to check your mental.
Dude.
We got to make sure that, sure you're okay.
Because like, you know, I'm going to be honest with this selection. I was like, I'm taking the training wheels off. I was like, I'm going to give you some crazy shit.
I'm going to be honest with you guys too. Austin has like an entire boot camp list for me that I have not.
Like 90 films on that.
I have not checked that out. It's way too
much.
It's a
I made him a
daunting
catalog.
So I was honestly just really excited to check out movies that you had handpicked because I really do love your film taste.
Thank you.
And I, this has kind of disappointed me so far, but
fuck you, bro.
No.
He would have been like, let's review all the Conjuring movies, bro.
Yeah. Well, we're super excited. So if you're just tuning in right now, we have 4 weeks of horror movies, 4 different subgenres. First week is slasher. Second week is
psychological.
Third week is body horror, and fourth week is
horror comedies.
We're really, really excited. We have a lot of really good movies to talk about.
Really exciting ones. Very like diverse ones too.
Also important to note, we haven't discussed our opinions. Austin actually called me up and was like, dude, what did you think? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you.
I got so impulsive too.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you told me like your logic, it was very sound. Yeah. But I'm not going to lie, in that moment, I was just like, I wanted immediate dopamine and I wanted to learn what you thought.
Well, now's the time.
Now's the time. I'm excited.
We're starting off with slashers. And the first movie up on our list, we've got
The Burning.
The Burning.
There we go. 1981's The Burning.
1981 The Burning by Tony Maylam.
Yes.
Okay, I was reading a little bit on the Wikipedia, and it was saying that this was actually not received well when it came out.
No,
because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's just a Friday the 13th ripoff." Yeah, which in some respects, I see what they were talking about.
Yes. See, you know what's kind of funny though is like, you watch that first Friday the 13th, and like a lot of those elements from like the slasher films they talk about with like the campsite, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's there. Yeah. But I actually feel like it's really codified in The Burning.
Okay, let's give a little bit of a rundown for those of you guys who don't know. If you are watching our reviews, we highly recommend you check it out. So I did see The Burning I saw this on an illegal website. I don't know. I potentially saw it on an illegal website.
Yeah.
But you can actually watch it on Tubi. Shout out Tubi for all these free movies. But I'm going to read the synopsis real quick that is on Letterboxd. A caretaker at a summer camp is burned when a prank goes tragically wrong. After several years of intensive treatment at a hospital, he is released back into society, albeit missing some social skills, and that is stretching the word right there.
That's stretching.
What the fuck?
That's not just social skills, buddy.
What follows is a bloody killing spree with the caretaker making his way back to his old stomping grounds to confront one of the youths that accidentally burned him.
See, you know what's hilarious about this? This is like, you would only know this plot after you saw the movie.
Yes. I don't know why they're giving away a lot here.
High key, I was going to say, don't actually like read this if you haven't seen it.
Well, yeah, if you're watching this review and you haven't watched The Burning, go watch The Burning. Come back to hear our discussion.
View it ASAP.
All right, so Alfred, what do you like about this movie? Do you like this movie?
I like it. I will say, though, I completely felt my love for it kind of deflate this watch. And here's the thing, though. I will say this. I think if you want like the quintessential like camp slasher, I do think Burning is kind of the best of that glut. And I also think for that era from like 1980 to 1983, you know, obviously if you're a horror fan, you know, but for those that don't, the layman's, that was sort of the glut of American slashers that came out. Like it was like a frenzy. Gotcha. And when I think of like the template, I just feel like The Burning hits every single one and fairly competently, excuse me.
Yeah.
But do I think it's the best one or even the most like entertaining or creative? No. I just sort of see it more as like a marker historically now. And I think with this watch, it's sort of like solidified it in my head as that.
I can understand people's affection for it.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away kind of disappointed. Some of the highlights for me in this movie, I feel like this movie is shot a lot better than most slashers.
Yes.
I love some of the wide frames
better.
here.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's really confident in its cinematography, and you could tell people that at least this director really cared about how it looked and how it felt, and it's a very warm movie for how dark it can get. Now, here my main problems with this movie is, dude, this movie is super rapey. Like, it is it's very, very there is no such thing as consent in this movie, and it seems to be a problem with every single romantic encounter that happens in this movie. At some point, you could even call them romantic, right? At some point, like whenever we're seeing like a connection between two people in this movie, they are at some point telling them no, and they consistently press on.
Say yes.
And I'm not surprised to see this in The Burning, because I don't know if you know who produced this.
Yes. I know the whole story. I was waiting for you to get to that.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein produced The Burning, and you could tell. You could tell from all over this movie, because again, there's a lot of weird, non-consensual activities going on in this movie that I was not a fan of.
Yes. I will say, I'm not going to lie, and maybe it's just because I've seen a lot of films out of the genre out of that period. Yeah. I don't think it's unique, sadly, to this one. They're all kind of like that.
Yeah, you're right.
But I will say, this one is one of the more egregious, where it's like blatant. Where like some of the other ones kind of like try to skirt around it, but like this one is like very like, like very clear boundaries are being like violated.
And I do want to say it might be just a product of its time. Not that it makes it okay.
Oh,
you know,
it's very
obviously
80s.
a lot of the movies during this era, especially in slashers, don't take too kindly to their female characters.
No,
which is something that
this is no exception.
Right, seems to be reoccurring in a lot of slashers, including even in these in the movies that we're about to talk about. That a lot of women are used just as props to kind of like as a
in a way, this was that era that solidified that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? That's why it's like kind of weird to look at it in retrospect and say that, because it's like you're correct. But at the time, because I think about in my head these little scenarios, I'm like, if I time traveled and I went back, like, what would people say? And I was like, the dark thought I had was like, I feel like most of the characters in this movie, that they would just sound like the guys in real life. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? Look, the comparisons to Friday the 13th, right? And I would say that what they do better here is I enjoyed more of the chemistry of these characters. These characters felt a little more real.
Very fleshed out. And it goes to the cast. You know why? Because to add to your point, this stars Jason Alexander, Fisher Stevens, who was in Succession. And
no way.
Yeah, I'll actually show you who it is exactly, because you're going to know.
Yeah.
But this has so many stars that would go on to like Seinfeld, Succession, all these things. Jason Alexander, I mean, the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like crazy, and I think a lot of that goes to their acting ability, where it's like you could just see the talent pool kind of. This is when they're kids too, so that's what kind of impressed me. And to go into one of my positives, I was like really surprised by like how competent the performances are. I mean, sure, like in the context of like what you need out of like a teenager's performance
and out of a slasher,
right? But like even then, I was like, you know, like this is a way more effort than like most put in.
And you know what? That's why I was really intrigued when I was watching this movie, was the characters.
Yeah,
like and that's this is one of my gripes with the movie, is that the killer is this man who was burnt to a crisp that comes back
like
and
a
he's
tender,
fucked up, right?
Bro's air fried.
And you know, again, if you're watching this and you haven't seen it, watch it so we can discuss the spoilers.
Yeah.
But I do not like the fact that we don't get to see him until the very end.
Yeah.
It's only once teased, like,
especially because the makeup's really cool too.
Right.
It looks sick.
And you know, I wouldn't have minded if they had actually like teased little by little. That would have still worked for me. There was only like one or two teases, and it was like a little burnt part of his like forearm, which was just, it was like didn't give me anything to work with.
And the score for him is doing a lot of work, because it has a really sick synth score that, like, obviously if you know 80s and like horror movies and horror video games, like, you'll hear it. But I thought that was doing a lot of legwork in this movie, was that score.
I really love the way the camera moved when he was like about to attack. That was also really, really cool. And there was like a lens flare on that. And that was sick.
And the payoff of like the gore was good. Like, I thought, like, surprisingly, some of the buildup, like there's one specific sequence I really love where they're on a boat and like the killer's kind of laying flat in the boat.
That scene was cool.
Yeah, and they pull up and he comes up and they like chopping fingers off and shit. Like the way they constructed the setup, the payoff, and like the actual shots of the gore, I was like, this is really good. Like, it's not bad. And that's why I kind of get where I felt the deflate come in, where I was like, yeah, you know, there's so many good elements and it's just kind of okay.
Right. No, and you know, even as we're talking about it, I feel myself liking it a little more.
It's not bad.
I'm appreciating The Burning a little more as we're talking about it, just because Yeah, it is like this is something I would throw on for like a camp of teenagers,
right?
You know, like hey, we want to watch a slasher,
or like a good if
I if I were not a camp of teenagers because I don't want to show them.
I wouldn't show them The Burning.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I was thinking like midnight movies. Like if I were to throw together like a trashy double feature, like The Burning, and then whatever slasher I pair with it. You know, like it's a good because I was thinking of like marketing in my head, and I watched the old trailer for it, and I was like, yeah, like if you're in like a New York grindhouse theater, like this would be a movie that would be playing like at midnight or something. You know.
No, and I like you said about the gore is fantastic.
It's really good.
I do think that this doesn't show because even like watching Friday the 13th, there's not that much gore in Friday the 13th.
It's kind of like, I'm gonna be real too, it's kind of held up by that Kevin Bacon shot. Like I feel like everyone who's like, dude, what are you talking about? Friday the 13th won the gore. I'm like, you're talking about the Kevin Bacon shot, and like that's kind of it.
Yeah, like, there's not much to go off. Whereas The Burning holds on a lot of the gore. And
more consistent gore too. There's a couple sequences of people getting like mangled. Like,
this was a little bit brutal. Honestly, walking away, I think the Burning is. I think due to our discussion, I feel like I'm walking away a little bit more appreciative. It's
good.
Yeah. It's fun.
Perfect.
It's fun.
Good.
And look, I don't really expect much when it comes to slashers. I want something entertaining, and I think my main takeaway too was also the killer. The killer, I never felt intrigued to follow his arc. And I think it is due in part to the fact that I didn't even get a tease. I really didn't know who he was.
You wanted a little more of like some like to be tantalized a little bit. You wanted to feel that rise.
I wanted to know what was like at least some slight motivation. Something, you know.
Well, I mean, he did get lit on fire.
Right.
To be fair, like the sequence of him on fire, because it's not like the water is right. Well, it's not like the water. I was thinking about it too. I was like, it's not like the water is like right next to them. Yeah. So it's like he actually has to run. Like at least it feels like a mile. It might not be, but like the shot of him just continuously running, I was like, damn, like actually no, like I would come back and kill these people too. That
shit looked so good too.
Yeah,
the way that he was lit, the shack, and then the kid standing on the side,
and then the shot of the head he wakes up to, and it falls onto the bed. Like it's really good. I love the music. Yeah. Like to me, this is like, if you want a really good like entry level slasher, you know, because I kind of look at slashers in the way like you look at like soap operas or like kind of, you know, like your soaps or just like kind of cheesy shit you like to watch. Like slashers to me are kind of like my soap operas. They're like, you know, I always know the formula. Most of them are not very good. Right. And I just think Burning is like a good template one where it's like, that's a good little, like, if I just needed one to be like, where's a good place to start? I'd hit The Burning. Gotcha. You know? Yeah. Because I don't want to say Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Burning, I'm going to say it's cool. It's cool. I'm going to say it's cool. I don't really do ratings. What would you rate it?
For me, just a clean 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Not terrible, not amazing, just really good.
All right, Burning. Shout out.
Shout out to The Burning.
Shout out to Burning.
Go to the doctor if you're burning.
Classic Radio.